Daddy, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm so privileged to have you today.
Okay.
I first met you in 1988.
All right.
Can you briefly tell me how was that experience for you when you met me for the first time?
By then I can't say much about the time because even myself, when I met you, I was still, growing. I was still young, but I can't say much about it because, it was during the time when, as young boys, were doing this and that, and we were actually under our parents who guided us that we should not do this and we should follow their laws. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so, and, I remember one of the things that you told me is that my English name, I was named after a bishop.
Yes.
And it's a Sotho name, Kamohelo.
Yeah.
Why that name?
Yeah, the name Robert. Your grandfather is the one who came up with that name, because by the time you were born, he was at America. So when he came from America, he found that a baby boy was born. Then because their bishop then was Robert, then he named you Robert. He was happy to find a baby boy like you. Coming back to the name Kamohelo, also the name came, it's your mother who came up with that name.
Okay.
Yeah, because, by the time, like I said earlier, she did not know, maybe she was a bit confused or whether I will agree that I will be the father of this. Yeah, then
Okay.
she said no.
Okay.
When I said no, it's me, then she said the name of my boy is Kamohelo.
Awesome.
Because Kiamohetsu.
Okay, acceptance. I love it. I used to struggle in the earlier years in my career. I used to struggle, and I wanted to use Robert instead.
Okay.
But there's a certain lady who said to me, "You know what? Why should you struggle and use the English name so that people who can't speak Setswana can call you easier?" Okay. And she said, "You don't have to. Just decide a name you want to call yourself." And then I started going by Kamohelo. Or Kamo. Most of my colleagues and my friends call me Kamo. But I want us to talk about the significance of naming a child. I realized that my grandfather, something I noticed, we'll also talk about your name, Motlalentwa. I think a lot of times when someone hears that name, Motlalentwa, they can make all sorts of meanings. They can come up with all sorts of meanings in their head. But ka Setswana, ka Sesotho, there's what do you elders look at when you name a child? And I know it also happens when someone gets married, and I know there's a significance when it comes to naming someone. Why is it so important, and what do you look at?
Yeah, before I touch on that one, let me touch a little bit on the name Kamohelo, why your mother said that. Like I said, she also recalled or remembered that her brother is Kamohelo. Then he found it fitting to say, okay, let me say this son is Kamohelo because my brother is also Kamohelo. Her brother, I mean, Kamohelo, Uka South Africa.
Yeah.
Yes. In the past or during the ancient times, parents used to tell the elders if the child is born or was born. They used to tell the elders that a baby boy or a baby girl is born. Then there are those people, whenever the elders, they will come up with a name because they will be looking at the situation then, or what is happening. How did this boy or a girl come? What was the atmosphere? What was happening during the time? So they will be coming together and think about the name. Sometimes they will bank on the grandfather to name the child, because he's the one who knows the situation. And then it will happen like that. That is why they had to wait for your grandfather to come. And then he said, no, you can name him, and then I will also
give him a name.
Give him my name. Then that's how it happened. So the problem during the time was that even if you are a mother or a father, it was a norm that the parents should name the child. I don't know. I can't say much about it because it was. I found it
that way.
That way, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, but you yourself, what do you? Because I think there's a belief that a name can follow or can bring certain not powers as such, but it carries with it a certain meaning, and certain things will happen in your life because you are named that. Do you believe that is true?
Yes, yes, I do believe. The only thing that was, the parents during the time, most of the time they were not looking at the blessings. They were looking at things that happened.
Yeah, the difficult things at the time. The difficult
things that were happening.
And then they name the child.
Yes, then they name the child. Sometimes they came, DK lady, cellular, they were basing on that.
Yeah.
They did not think much about the blessings. Yes, there are some bilingual. You find that mpo, neo, but most of the time they would say Basotho, DK lady, yeah.
And let me ask you about your name particularly, because it's one of the names that can bubble the mind for a bit. Motlalentwa. I know it doesn't mean that you bring war or you bring fight, or does it mean that? Why did you get that name? Did you ever find out?
Yeah, the sound, when you say Motlalentwa, people will think you're talking about somebody who is bully or what.
Yeah.
But I once searched the Sesotho
meaning.
No, Sesotho explanation of dictionary. It says Motlalentwa is a lover.
Are you serious?
Yes, it says a lover. So Motlalentwa, why my mother named me Motlalentwa? She cancelled the name that came with my father. My father named me Ichebe. Look at yourself. Yes.
Okay.
Because what was happening then, there were fights amongst the family and relatives. And by then, my mother was pregnant. And then my mother said, I didn't know that I will have this boy, because he came during the time where there were some kind of fightings. Yeah. That is why she named me, the father named me Motlalentwa.
So it's like you came around the time when there was a lot of fights.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with you coming to fight.
Yes, yes.
Interesting.
And then when my father changed the name from Ichebe to Motlalentwa, then my mother said, it's Moses. And then he said, why Moses? And then he said, Moses came during the times when baby boys were
being killed.
Yes. So that is why my mother said, if you say it's Motlalentwa, then I will name him Moses, because I drew him.
That is interesting.
Out of water. Yes, yes.
That is interesting. And I think you grew up in the 70s, late 60s into the 70s and 80s. There's something significant that happened that you told me.
Yes.
And I never understand, the things of the spirit, and I don't think anyone understands the things of the spirit. There's a scar you have, and every time you tell me the story, it bubbles me because we talk of witchcraft, we talk of witch doctors, we talk of dreams, and there's an underworld that exists that me and you, when we are sitting like this, is not visible, but you sort of have to enter a certain realm to see those things. Can you tell me what is the significance of understanding spirituality as a person? Why is it important for you to understand spiritual things? Other, Basotho, Karasle. Why is it important? Why is that the understanding that important?
I think every people or human being or every nation has got their own culture. If I can maybe take you back to my upbringing, we grew up as children, fortunately. I grew up under the family of maybe where the father and the mother were there. Mm-hmm. And then we used to, sometimes we find ourselves being together with our cousins during the time. And most of the time our fathers were outside Botswana. They were working
there. In the mines.
Yes, in the mines. But it happened, I was still young and I did not know what was happening. There was a time whereby the grandmother, I don't know whether I put it when I say the grandmother. Great-grand, yes. The grandmother of my father.
Yes.
She died. And then preparation and arrangements were done properly. And the funeral took place and everything was fine, but I was still young. I was not part of the bereaved family because I was still young.
Yeah.
But because I was young, I did not realize, or I could not pick that all the relatives were there. I came to know later that my uncle was not informed about the death of her grandmother. And then there was a fight because he came later after the funeral. Mm-hmm. Actually, he came later and then he went back to South Africa and bring along with his family or his wife and the children. And then when they came, they went straight to my father's house. And then they slept there. Tomorrow morning, my father will take them to the graves to go and, see where...
Pay their last respects,
yes,
whatever,
yes.
Yeah.
When they went back, there was one of my cousins was staying with us at home. And then, fortunately, some of the cows were kept by some of the family, the relatives member. Because there were fights, somebody called him. He went and took the 2 cows, and then he called this cousin of mine. And then he said, take your father's cows. They are there and see where we can put them. And then this was, we were still here. Mm-hmm. And the father was, our father and his father was in South Africa. Mm. And then my mother realized that this is, is a problem. And then he asked this cousin of mine, what is happening? And then he said, that uncle, he said, no, I must take care of these 2 cows. And then we took them to the kraal, and then my mother gave this boy 4 rand, then 4 rand from Pitsani to Itsuse.
Okay. This is like after Mafikeng.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to go and tell his father that this is what is happening. And then I was assigned to take care of the 2 cows together with our donkeys, because then we had some donkeys. And then when I was taking care of these things, I don't know what happened. I felt dizzy. It was during the day. The whole day I felt dizzy, and when I was trying to rest a little bit, they will go away, and then somebody will see them running and try to catch them and ask me to wake up. When I wake up, I'm fine. Then he will say, no, take care of these cows of yours, and then I will take care of them. A little bit after that, now I become now dizzy again, and they'll come and pass.
How old are you at that time?
I was 10 years. I still remember I was 10 years. And then it happened, they went back and forth because I was alone there, but there were people who were moving around that place. And then when the sun now going down, and then I came, and this gentleman came and took a donkey and tried to, to chase them home. And then I came a little bit, walking, trying to run, and I was low. I was unable to run. I was unable
You were weak.
to move. Yes, I was weak, yes. And then when I got home, I was totally, feeling dizzy, and I tried to, move like a monkey.
Crawl, yeah.
I was crawling. And then when I got home, then my mother said, what is happening? And then I said, I don't know, my mother. One thing that you can do for me is to bring me water. I want to wash my body. I don't know what is happening. And then my mother gave me water, and then I washed, and then after that I went to sleep. I couldn't eat. Then I went to sleep, and my father came. He found all these things, happening. It was 8 o'clock in the evening. I remember when I was sleeping, I felt, my stomach was running.
Upset.
Yes. And then I said to my mother, my stomach is running. And then she said, what is happening? Then I went outside. Before then, when I said my stomach is running, my father came and tried to massage me. And then he went back to her bed, and then I woke up, went outside. By the time I woke up, my father was...
Who's in the house?
My father and my mother.
So is the 3 of you?
The 3 of us, yes.
Oh, okay.
No, I think there was somebody. I think my brother was there.
Oh, okay.
Because we were still there. And then my mother, when I went outside, my father was totally asleep. Within few minutes, when my father woke up, trying to go outside, my mother thought he saw that the child went out. And then my father couldn't even realize that there's no...
You're not in the house.
I'm not in the house. When he found me outside, he did not see that this is a child. He saw something, I don't know. And then he asked me, are you a peasant? I could not hear what he's saying. And then I said to him, I feel like vomiting. But he kept on saying, Are you a peasant? Who are you?
So it seemed like you were communicating, but you couldn't hear each other.
We couldn't hear each other. And then when he tried to, I thought maybe he was trying to pull out some of the things that were there. Unfortunately, he was picking a shovel. That was it. I didn't know what happened after that. And then what I remember is when I came back from where I don't know, I found people inside the house, people from the village.
How long do you think this is? Is it a few hours after he hit you?
No, it happened at 8 o'clock.
Okay, in the evening.
And then I woke up at 12.
After 4 hours.
Yes. And then I found people there. When I tried to look around, my head was, it was like
There's
a
lightheaded,
big
was
stone.
pain. Yeah.
Yes, it was like
Yeah.
And then my brother asked me, "How are you?" And then I said, "I don't know, my head is so big." And then he cried. I looked at my grandmother was there, and then she cried. My sister, who was staying far away from
the village,
our house, she cried. And then my mother was here next to me. And then one of the parents said to me, "You got injured?" And then I didn't answer. Few minutes, there was a light of a car coming to our place. Remember, in 1978, it was very rare for you
to see a car
around. Yes, because Karasle is just a small village. And fortunately, there were some teachers who were there, and they went and asked for help from that teacher, and then he came to assist us. And then when the car arrives, they said, "Monkey." I was listening. "Monkey." And then my brother said, "You got injured, so we are taking you to hospital." And I couldn't say yes or no. And then they took me to the car. We came this way, and then I found myself inside Athlone Hospital. Yes. I got assisted and went back home. My mother did not sit down and tell me what was happening. My brother did not tell me what was happening. But after some time, one of my sisters came, and then that's when my mother called me and told me, there was something, they called it Tokolosi. There was something like Tokolosi who came with the two cows.
Yeah,
it came with that 2 cows. It is the thing that took me up and down during the time when I was.
So it was sort of fighting you while you were taking care of them. It was fighting you, and you couldn't tell what is happening.
Actually, the parents are the ones who were fighting. I was an innocent. I was an innocent person, and then because they were fighting, they knew how do they do these things, because it happened that this thing I found it now is more and it happened like that, and then I went back to school. My schoolmates hated me. Some of them were crying and all sorts of things. So I don't know whether I've answered you when you talked about the spiritual things and things that I experienced in the past.
Most of them, it's difficult for them for someone to explain. It's things you can't explain, because I don't know if it's because we can't see them, but they are real. Whether good or bad, they are real.
Yes.
So growing up in Karasle, can you tell us a bit of the history of this village? Not a lot of people know Karasle. Most of the time I tell people I come from Karasle, they don't know. They don't know the place.
Yeah.
How did do you know anything really? I know probably the village was there a long way before you were born. But what did you hear? How did the village come about?
You know, the history of Karasle, each and every child of Karasle was told by his father about how Karasle came to that place. And most of the time they differ.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes you find there's somewhere where they connect. And I got a little bit of it from my father, but most of the history, not most, but a little bit more, I got it from my grandfather. He told me that Basotho of Botswana came from Lesotho. During the time there was this war in the and then they came from Lesotho. There's a place called in South Africa they call it I would remember Kuduman.
Okay.
Kuduman is the first place that they
settled.
According to him, only 8 people came from Lesotho. And when somebody said only 8 people, you will think of 8 people or 8 men.
Okay.
But he was talking about maybe they say names. Yeah, but that group, they came from Lesotho. And from Kuduman, they went that side up to the place called Lefurusi, Maramach, somewhere Maramach, yes. That's where they stayed. When they were there, the 3 people came, like there was this man who was a doctor. Do we call it a doctor? Ngakaya Setso,
Traditional doctor.
Traditional doctor, yes, I wanted that. He came up to this Madutle, trying to look for some mutis. And then when he went back there, he told other Basotho, I saw the place there. Can't we go there and look for a better place? And then they agreed. This man, Banabarke Namutlomi, if I remember well. And then they came and asked, I don't know whether they went to Mafikeng, because it's like they went to Mafikeng, yes, during the time, to ask for that place. But
so Mafikeng was like a capital.
Yes, was like a
capital city where it was administrating that area.
Yes.
Okay.
But according to the history that I got, Karasle was named Karasle after they were given that place because there was a lone tree that was seen even when at a distance. Even when you are at Mafikeng, you could see already there's a tree there. Even when you are from Lobatse, you could pick already at a distance already there's that tree. And people knew it already, this tree and then he allowed them to come and stay there, and then they went back and tell those who were still there, we are going to we are locating here now, we want to stay at Karasle. these people, when they got to Karasle, their surname, all of them, their surname was Rapoto.
Okay.
Yes. Rapoto, his other name was Khunong.
Okay.
Yeah, Khunong. So from there, I can't tell what happened after that, because now, when now they were there, they were expanding, and they were like, the Babamba Ibisa Indoda Yasbonela. They grew up, and then they even forgot Horekana. How did we come here in? Now they were moving like this. In actual fact, Basotho ke batho ba dikgomo tse ngata, and babeba simola baba yalo. Then that's how it came to Horean Wafumanele Hore. It's
growing.
It's growing.
Yeah.
And then I'm told Hore there was a Matseka man who was told to come and to stay with the Karasle. That is why there is Matseka that side. For him to report what is happening, because he was only Motswana.
Okay.
To come and,
Matseka is from Barolong.
He's from Barolong.
Okay.
Yeah, Hore is the only one who can take all the messages and deliver them or send them to Mafike. And then that's how Karasle came to be a big village like this. But it's one of the biggest villages in Borolo, Barolo Farms. Yes.
And one of the oldest, I understand.
Yes, one of the oldest.
Amazing. And why do you think we still keep the Sotho language?
Yeah, I think it's because we were only Basotho there. Yeah, we were only Basotho there. We grew up there. Most of us, our upbringing, there were no Motswana, and we spent most of the time talking Sotho language. And even the teachers who came there during the time, because most of the teachers were coming from Borolong or wherever, and they were struggling to
teach kids there, because they were speaking Sotho.
Yeah, they were dwelling much on Sotho. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so now your journey is that, I know in the later years you went into construction when you started working.
Yeah.
You went into construction, but I want you to tell me, you noticed in the times that we are in, a lot of people who do construction are from the neighboring countries. Yeah. Was it always like that in the time that you started working? I know you went to different places, but did you ever work with foreigners when you were doing construction in your years?
No, it wasn't like that, because during my time, most of the people who were here were the white people. I joined the construction in 1985, let me say. And there was this building construction that came to build Monsiwa
Junior school.
Yeah. But most of them were white men. And they were hiring Botswana.
Okay.
But some of the people who came there are Bakalaka.
Okay.
But there were no foreigners like Zimbabweans and other people. Yes, yeah. That's where we started. And yeah, it was like that.
So how was it? I mean, in those years, could you tell where Gaborone is going to end up? I know a lot of places were bush around gaps. I know you told me one of the stories that Liduma Dumani here was just the bush far away. Could you tell, how was it like? Like, you were building multi-reses, you were building a place and then you moved. How was it like?
Yeah, there were things like, I think this thing, they call it tender. All the companies were tendering to build the houses. So the company I was working for, Wade Adams, most of the time we were building junior schools.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were tendering. Most of the junior schools in Gaborone, I was there. From Munsiwa Secondary, I went to Gaborone. No, before then, we went to Baratani Community Junior Secondary School in Ote.
Oh, in Ote, okay.
Yeah. So after building that school, our company went to Palapi to build a vocational training center in Palapi. And I decided to follow them, and fortunately they hired me. After Palapi, I came back to Gaborone. You see these schools, Bo Maitlamo, Bo Tlomo, and others, even other housing corporation houses. I was part of the team which was building there. And then, because I was still young, and I did not have a certificate, sometime I could find myself on top of a tractor, maybe transporting the bricks or the cements to the...
You just did any job that you were given?
Yes. Yeah. But after some time, I came to Gaborone, and I learned from the one who was laying the bricks. And sometimes I would come to the one who is a carpenter doing the carpentry things. And then I got my experience there.
Okay.
And then I found it fitting that I should go and upgrade myself at Madirelo and Training Center, Testing and Training Center. That's when I got my certificate in building. And it was tough during the time because, if your level of education is low, things are...
You can't get jobs. Yeah.
So that's how we
survived.
We survived then, yes.
Tell me, Munsiwa, you said it was built when? 1985?
From 1984 to 1987.
So where were the kids around Pitsane area going for school? For junior school then?
Some of them were coming to Lobatse. Some of them were going to Kanye because some of my relatives they went to Sepa Pichu. Some they came to Lobatse. I know my brother was schooling here in Lobatse, and then your uncle also, he schooled here in Lobatse. And then they were, in fact, even the senior schools, they started from Form 1 up to Form 5.
Oh, okay.
But there were schools like Boipe, Ipelecheng, Itirileng. Yeah, but
okay,
that's how...
Interesting. Now, you got called. When did you get called into ministry?
It will also force me to go back to my upbringing.
Okay.
Because, Botswana and Karasle, it's a village of Christians. Our country is a peaceful country.
Yeah.
And then when I was young, I was forced, after being baptized, I was forced to go to church like any other child. Yes, yeah. I was forced to go to church. My mother used to tell us to go to church. I could hear my mother praying at 3 o'clock or at 9 o'clock when we sleep.
Yeah.
Even in the morning. Yeah. I could hear it praying. And then on Sundays, she will take us to church. And then after that, now I decided to move around like any other boys, and up until I started working. And then when I was working, I used to buy beers, drinking, smoking, and other things, you know. And it was fine. I was enjoying my life. But one of the things that I recall is that my mother used to tell me that, you know, you are not of this line. And then I said, why my mother? Because my mother was also drinking beer. But she could tell me that
it's not for you.
No, it's not for you. You are not of this type. You can't smoke, you can't what. Yes. But I kept on doing that. I remember one time, you know, it was month end. I had a lot of money. You know, from Friday up to Sunday. I spent that whole weekend drinking and drinking and drinking. When Monday comes, when I was preparing to go to work, I just decided that no, I should not go to work because I'm not feeling well.
You're tired.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
And I feel like I might die. And I just decided to go home. And what was in my mind is that if I can die just some few
hours.
No, just for some few steps before my mother, it will be fine.
Oh, you didn't want her to see you like that?
No.
Oh.
And then when I decided that before I can, you know, take a transportation there, I went to one of the shops around the station in Salosa Gaborone. There was this shop anyway, it's a Protea. And then I deposited a table with chairs and a bedroom suite.
Your first furniture?
Yes, my first furniture.
Okay.
And I went home. When I got home, my mother said, "What's happening?" Then I said, "My mother, you know, I drank a lot and I feel like I might die. So I just decided to come here home."
Was that the worst you ever drink?
Yes.
Why are you feeling like you're dying?
And then she said, "I told you, or you should not do this." And then I slept. Tomorrow, Tuesday, I came back to work. I went working, but I kept on paying for the furniture. Yes. When I finished it, I deposited another furniture.
Okay.
And I started my life there. And then when I remember sometime I went to my sister and said, "My sister, I have money. What can I do?" And then he said, "Now I'm going, let us go to Mafeking." Then we went to Mafeking. I bought some blankets there. My sister, with the assistance of my sister, I bought some blankets, and then I started, you know, feeling, no, now it's like life is better now.
You're enjoying life now.
Yes, yes. And then that's how I came to know what is it that we should do as a young boy. And then my father encouraged me to buy cows because already I had a firstborn. And then he encouraged me to buy some cows. I tried up until I managed. And then kind of we are talking about my calling. And then after finishing everything, I was told that Kana, you are preparing to marry a daughter, Elengwana Muruti, and you should not, you know, you should know hore ngwana moruti ke ngwana moruti. Please Oscar wa re hlabisa dihlong. And ngwana moruti ha nyalo. It should be seen a le moseng o mosweu. Anna. And then I started, thinking this and that. But with the help of God, by the grace of God, I managed to buy whatever was demanded by my parents, and even the cows. We went on, they gave them lobola. We went through the second celebration, and then we finished the Bahamuruti. Remember, I'm still taking beers, but I'm trying to reduce the rate, the amount of beer that I'm taking. And then I remember there was a time when I was staying at Lobatse. Something came to me. I used to listen to the gospel music, even when my father was still there. And then something came to me that, hey, you should go to church. And then
you had a voice, or was it just a thought that came to your mind?
No. Actually, there was a funeral at home. I went to this funeral. Before the funeral, we went to assist at the cemetery, digging for this man. When I was there, my brother tried to fight with some other guys there. And I told him not to do so, because this is not the place of
such actions.
Yes.
In respect of a dead
when
person.
we finished there, I went back home, slept there, and prepared to come to the funeral. My brother went somewhere, I don't know. And then in the morning, when I was going to the funeral, I saw his wife taking a shirt and other, bringing them to him. He was at my uncle's place. He prepared himself there, and after that, he went somewhere, I don't know, he could not go to the funeral. Then I went to the funeral, and then after the funeral, I went back straight home, because my father was not feeling well. I stood with my father. I used to sit next to him when he was not well. And then we listened to this music, Amadodana, as was said. And then I said to him, let me check one of my cousins there. I went to the neighbors. When I was there, my brother came. Then when he came, he went straight to my father, and then he said, I want you to give me what belongs to me, and you should share even the animals and all the piece of land that you have.
Like the story of the prodigal son.
Yes, like the
similar story, yeah.
So my father said, what is it? And then he tried to push my father, and then I came from that place to ask him, what are you doing? Because my father is not well. And then my brother went home crying. I then sat with my father, trying to comfort him. And then I said to myself, okay, my big brother will be coming this evening. I will tell him what is happening. And then I waited for my brother, my other brother, the elder one. I waited for him up until 12 o'clock, midnight. When he came, I found him, like somebody, what's happening? And then he told me, Ore, I came, I arrived at Pizani at 8 o'clock. Why are you coming this time now? And we were fighting there. You and who? Me and Buma Nyambela Buma. And then I said to myself, this is the man I was waiting for, to tell him about his brother. So what should I do now? And then I slept. In the morning, Sunday, and then I went to my father and I said to my father, I'm going to church. And then my father gave me a piece of a hymn book. And then my mother said, Wanaka, Sama Hulukili. Go into church, because now at home there's mess. My father is sick. My brothers are doing this and that. They are not cooperating. And then I went to church. When I go to church, there was this lady who came as a preacher. He was reading in Genesis. He was talking about sons of Jacob. Yeah. She was dwelling much on this verse that says, I am Joseph, your brother. Is my father still alive? Yeah. Okay.
You're becoming emotional.
Yeah.
I hear where the story is going.
Yeah.
So then from there you started going to church.
Yeah. So when she finished, it was like, now we are preparing to check the registers. Some of the leaders in the church, they normally check the leaders and call names if you are registered in this, and then they call them. And then somebody came to me and said, you are not of this group, so you should go outside.
Or there was a meeting being called and you are not supposed to be in it.
No, these are members of the church,
yeah,
and their names are registered here, and my name is not registered. It's for my first time to come here.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and now they check their list, who is present and who is not there.
Yeah.
And when they started that process, somebody came to me and say, "Well, now you are not of this church. Your name is not here." So they want to start counting names and checking who is there. So you shouldn't be here. Go outside. What? And I went outside, and then I found a tree, and then I sat there. And then they closed the door. And I became emotional again.
The doors have been closed in your face.
Yes. What came into my mind is that I came from home because everything is not right there. Then I came to church. So somebody says he wants to expel me from the church
as well.
What's happening? And then I said there, and then this lady came out. Actually, she was leaving, and then she found me there, and then she said to me, "Are you late, or you are from the church?" And then I said to her, "I'm from inside. I wanted to register my name, and somebody said I should go outside." And then I cried. And this lady took me inside, and then she said, "This young boy wants to register his name. Please make sure that you register his name." And then they took me to the table, and then they registered my name. And then I was told that I should prepare myself because I will be going for the test or something. Yes. Then they arranged for that. I went for the test, and they admitted me to be part of the church members. And then that's where I started. Then I grew up, and then I learned. So those music that I
listened to,
they came up, and then I read the Bible, and then there was a time that I went to church from Woodall to Peleng, walking.
I think this is about 12 kilometers,
yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something was I don't know what is it, but something was happening. And then when the minister who was there then, so when he saw me inside the church, he could pick whether there's something from this young boy. And then he called me to say, can you give us a message? And I was not a preacher then. I was not even a young men's guild, member of the young men's guild. I was just a normal somebody.
A member,
Yes,
a new member.
And then I said, yes, I can do that. And then he said, no, okay, I will do the liturgy, and then you will come up with a message. And then I said, it's okay. And then he gave me that, and it was like a burning fire. And then after that, he told me to see him after the church, and then I saw him after the church, and then he congratulated me to say, no, you did well. And then I went back home. That was the first time. During the time, there was a funeral at Kanye. We went there with your mother, and then when I got there, I was moved by the word that was used there. And then I stood up and I did what God gave me. And then there was a man from UCCSA, and then he said to me, you are coming all right, my son, keep it up. And then I came. That's where I started now, bit by surely, but then I happened to join the Young Men's Guild in 1994, and then I was robed there, and after that I came to Lobatse. When I got to Lobatse, I joined LPA, Local Preachers Association. Yeah, that's where my journey started. Yeah, so because Moses, when he was going from Egypt to where he was going, during the time when he was under the authority of Jethro, he happened to encounter somebody and he killed him. And he decided to hide him, not knowing that somebody will pick that. And I remember it happened that when I was going to the funeral, I happened to hit on somebody and he died on the spot. And then I was so distressed, but with God's grace, it happened that that thing was resolved. Actually, it was resolved by God, and I went on and on and on. And during the time, I was already registered I was called for an evangelist, and then the church guided me well up until I finished my journey in 2009. And then I was called at Pretoria, and then I was commissioned there, and that was it. And up until today, I think I'm serving God, and with no problem. It's not just a simple thing. It's not a smooth running thing. It needs a heart. Yeah, because bari maxhosa inzima lo ndlela inamiva this road is not just a smooth road. It has got this and that. But I kept going and going and going.
That is a beautiful story. I mean, and I think what you are saying is everyone has a special way that they are called, and there's no one formula. And you can't tell the person that, for you to know that you are called, this is what is going to happen. Everyone is going to experience their calling. And I think it's similar to each and everyone's purpose in this world. You sort of realize it, and I guess people around you can sort of see signs and start to tell you that you might be called for this, and it opens up your eyes to see that. Now, you do a lot of counseling as well for new or young marriages. What is the biggest challenge you see in young marriages before they get married? What do they struggle with
before they
get married?
There's a saying that you can't choose what comes to you. You can only respond to what comes or happens to you. And how you respond to it is determined by how you see what happens to you. As young generations or whatever, most of the time when people say we want to get married, they say it because they saw it happening from somebody, and they want to copy what is happening, what happened to somebody. Most of the people, they realize later that their choices are not the real choices that they could have done. You understand? But there are those who did it well because we differ. We differ. Everyone has got his way of doing things. You understand? Yeah. You went through your pains and nobody knows it. You have carried your burdens, nobody knows it. Each and everyone knows how or how it happened to him. I normally tell the married couples that even if I can tell them the experiences that I had, it doesn't hold any water, because the experiences that I have or I had are not the same that they are going to have. Yeah.
Those were yours.
Yes, they are unique. Yeah, but most of the time, when I do the counseling, I try to find out what is it that you like most about your partner, and then he or she will tell me what is it that you like most. Then I try to find out again what are the negative things. What is it that you don't like? And then some will say it, some won't say it. But most of the time I try to ask them to go and look for the things that he feels they are not right about his couple, and write them and give them to me secretly, and the other one gives them secretly, so that when we discuss, I will say them as if they are from me. You understand? Yes. So sometimes when people come to say we want to get married, it's not like they have all the experiences. They will be starting here, and sometimes you don't even know, because you love your partner and she loves you. You don't even know, or it's boring when she chews the food. You don't even know, or it's boring when she tries to open the toothpaste and try to press it, you know. So you get to know these things afterwards, and you get bored. So it's good to know, for a kind of marriage, there's no one who come to say, I want to marry and bringing CV. No one has got a CV. You start here.
And you see where you go.
So I most of the time, I encourage them to be cautious, to ask God to drive their marriage. Only God can drive their marriage.
Interesting.
No one, because if you can put your marriage on the hands of a person like you, you won't go anywhere. If you can put your marriage on the hands of your parents, you won't go anywhere. Your brothers, your whoever, or Muruti. No. Put your marriage on the hands of God, and He will drive your marriage.
Well, I want to ask you, when you say, if you say people should put their trust on God, you're speaking for people who believe in God.
Yes.
Right? And people who don't believe in God have succeeded in their marriages.
Yes.
I don't know, like you're saying, I don't know the pains they go through. I don't know. It looks like they are succeeding because they spend years and years together. How do you think that is possible? Do you think God is still protecting them, even though they know or they don't know?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Most of the time, God takes care of people who knows nothing about Him.
Okay.
And I think He takes, if he thinks, or He takes it that those who know Him will do things better. He expects us, because we know, we read the Bible, we know all the
laws.
Yes. So those who know nothing about Him, sometimes he protects them, and I think He's trying to drive them into knowing, or what is it, and if they can't pick it, their marriage will not be successful. But hangata le bona ba re reng ke ba Karasle. The very people that we think maybe they can bank on the word of God.
We don't.
Yeah, we don't.
And God still protects us.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to counseling couples, I know you spoke a little bit about the things you share with them. What is it that you always tell them? Your biggest message when people say we getting married? What do you always tell them? What do you advise them? Of course, they can take the advice, or they can decide not to take it. But what do you like to tell them?
I don't know whether I'll be doing it for the sake of those who maybe will be listening. But I normally use the parables.
Okay.
When I talk to people, so try to drive them to where I want them to be going. I try to share with people and come up with some examples or the illustrations. Things like, maybe I'll be using things like, there's what we call an eggs. There's called things like a razor.
Okay.
They are all sharp. If you use an axe, it's sharp.
Mm-hmm.
And then the razor is sharp.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't cut somebody's head with an axe.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't cut a tree, a big tree, by using a razor.
Mm-hmm.
Each and every, like a razor and an axe, it's meant for cutting. A razor is meant for cutting
The hair.
a hair, and then that one is meant for cutting
Trees.
So I'll be trying to show them that you can't force your partner to do things that he's unable to do. You can't expect him to buy X5 for you because he can't afford that. You can't expect your wife to be performing or doing exactly like the neighbor. So the expectation is that you should allow him or her to do the little that he's able to do.
Beautiful.
You see where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even this man who called the three guys, the men who went outside the country, he called them and he gave them their talents, the bags of gold.
Yeah.
And then the other one, he gave him 5, the other one 2, the other one 1. And then I like this line that says, each according to his ability.
Each according to his ability.
Yes. So even in our marriage, your marriage is not my marriage. You understand? The burden that I encounter is not the same as yours. You know, and how I take care of my kids should not be the same like yours.
Like I do, yeah.
Where my kids are schooling is not the same because we are gifted not the same. You understand? So we should approach this thing called marriage knowing all things come from God. You understand? And how we take them, we should know everything. We expect God to guide us. Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Those are beautiful lessons, and I can relate to them. They're very beautiful, and I can see that you are really Benny. You wish you could actually start advising, and I like that. Now, before we close, I want us to talk a little bit about your profession. I know you're an HR professional.
All right.
And I know you are close to the years to retire. You know, in the early days, you know, as you said, you started off as a construction worker. You know, you did that a bit, and then when you joined your current company, you were doing something else, and then you shifted and started doing HR. And you know, we live around time when a lot of young people are looking for jobs. I personally will work with young people, and they're always asking for jobs. And jobs are not there, you know. What do you think they can do to sustain themselves? And also, if you can try and attempt to explain why there is no jobs. As I know you recruit people every other week. What is it that they can do because there is no jobs, and also how come there aren't jobs?
Yeah. You know, one thing that is not you know, one thing that I see, our country then was a growing country during our time. But even today, our country is still growing. And it will continue to grow. This country used to rely more on the neighboring countries like South Africa. Like I said earlier on, our fathers and mothers worked for South Africa and they came here, and this country of Botswana was growing. In 1976, if I remember well, we started having our own currency, and we can remember when was 1976. But even today, we are still growing, and things are now becoming worse. Yeah. But one thing that I can tell is that, you know, there are so many opportunities in this country. In this country, there are so many opportunities, and they are not seen by people, the citizens of this country. Most of the time, these things are picked by those who are coming from external. So many opportunities. And a Motswana child thinks that for him to, for him to survive could be through when he is working, because most of them are now educated. They are blessed because now we have our technical schools, we have our university, and one thing that they like most is when they finish the school, they expect to get the work and that's it. But they don't see the opportunity that is there. Ka Setswana ba re kgori e bona mai lo raba ga e le bone. And they don't even know when you get a job, what you are doing is you are selling your time to somebody. And you expect that man or somebody to buy your time, use it the way he wants, and you sit here, expect him to use your time until you are 60, not doing anything. You are like a donkey. But my advice to the generations to come and those who are there already, there are opportunities. One thing for sure, they should look for the businesses. They should look for the businesses because yes, it's good to work, but you can take it 2, 3 years, 4 years while you are still fit. After that, look for something so that you can have your own company and benefit a lot from it. You understand where I'm coming from. So this country is still growing, but remember, if you keep on growing, at the end now you are no longer growing. You come back now like today. So success is something that is coming to you. For you to be able to succeed, you have to take a step. Yes, it doesn't advance towards you. You are the one who should go to success. Success is like a sliding door. Every time when the sliding door opens, you should make a step towards it. But if you don't make a step and sit here, it won't slide open for you. So my advice to most of Botswana is that yes, if the opportunity is there, maybe if you have been blessed with a job, make sure that whilst you are still working, do something so that you can survive. Yeah.
Wow. I like that illustration.
Yeah.
So if you don't go closer to the sliding door,
it won't open.
It won't open.
Yes.
And you sit there and say,
yes,
there's nothing for me.
Remember, when coming to a sliding door, it means there is something the other side that you should get, or you should have. So when you choose to stand here, not slide, so success is like that. Your success is on the other side. You see it, the success is that side, but it doesn't come towards you.
You have to
go towards it, and then that's when you'll be able to.
And you're saying the sooner you do that, the better.
Yes, but Botswana, most of the time, including myself, we keep on procrastinating. Postponing. I will do it. But until when? Yeah. So you have to action so that you are able to see what you want, because you know what you want. Nobody knows what you want. You are the one who knows what is it that we want, but you have to stand for that.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you so much for saying that. I think I can really relate to that statement, and it's a very it's a perfect illustration, if I may say.
Yeah.
Evangelist.
Yeah.
Mr. Letshelea. I'd like us to stop here.
Okay.
There's a lot that I would like for us to discuss, but there's always another time.
All right.
I want you to leave us with a poem. But before you say it, I see Basotho do this quite often. Certain occasions, not just any time. I don't even know what I'm asking you now is the right thing to do to Huitoka. Can you just explain what Huitoka again? Why is it so important? And who should be able to do that? Is it for men? Is it for women? Is it for elders? Is it for young people? Tell me a little bit about the significance of that.
Yeah, Huitoka, it's something that is done by everyone, even if you are not Mosotho, even if you are not whoever. Is to talk about yourself. It's something that shows how proud are you about yourself. How powerful do you think you are? It's something to show people you are who you are because of you have been created in this earth by God. If I can take you a bit to players of the football, they have some nicknames.
Yes.
You know why they have nicknames?
No idea.
It's because they are trying to emphasize, to show people how rata ho can be among happy. You understand? They are proud of that. So it gives somebody's morale. It gives you an encouragement.
So like our president like to say, you can call me your boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
You become somebody, and only that. I'm a man. I don't remember this netlane ya monna yo mone ba mbitsa ba re ke Peter Tosh. Yeah, I'm a successful man and I want successful people. I'm a toughest man and I want toughest people. I feel like So this thing, it gives you morale and to know who you are, to be proud of yourself, to become somebody you can stand for yourself. You understand? Yeah. But no, you should know that when you stand for yourself, you always stand alone. Yeah, because you want to stand for yourself. Nobody can come and stand for yourself. You are the one who should be standing for yourself. Even in a court of law, even wherever, you stand for yourself. You can tell people better about yourself, and nobody can tell people better about yourself, because if you let people talk about you, they can tell people about who you are not. But you can tell people who you are. Yes.
Yeah.
That
and,
is exactly.
and yeah, before you do the poem, why is it important to know who you are and where you come from? Because I see you emphasize it a lot, and I see a lot of elders emphasize it. It's you should know who you are, because also, you know, these poems, you are talking about yourself. Why is it important?
It's important because people who will know who you are, and you won't get lost. Even your children and children of your children, generation after generation, they will know that there is this Kamo. And when they talk about you, they know what we talk about this man, because he knew himself and he made us know himself. You know, because he stood up and told people who he is. Yes, it's very, very important to know yourself, to know where you're coming from, to know, you know, even your surroundings. Yeah, it's very, very important, and it's critical. So if you don't know yourself, like I said, people will try to tell people about you, and they won't tell them exactly who you are.
Wow.
Yes. So before ba bolela batho hore motho ke mang, wena bo o kentse rubber stamp. Tell them who am I.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, yes.
Mr. Letshelea, Evangelist.
Yeah.
Moses Letshelea.
Yeah.
How we talk.
No, before I can go there, I'm grateful. I'm so blessed to be here, and I want to say thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and even like you are saying, even next time, don't feel hesitant to share with me. I also want you to some other time share with me about life, and we get experience from different
thank you for that.
people.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Okay.
So we talk haka ke ka kala ka hore ke lekolokotwane la Mokobatshia, ngwana a tsotsweng maoba o tsotswe ke batswadi ba ka ba babedi, Mamtinting phofu e tshweu phofu e tla e tataisa dirathana. Ke motaunna tau a pola ka mahlong re o bone, ke motjatja moramo jwa ke dinokwana ha di fumane, ke be qetella ke rialo ntate, ke motaung wa Hamoletsane, motaung wa Majanku, e le mokekeng e fodile e folle mokekeng, ke ema ke rialo ntate he.
Thank you so much. I'm blessed to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. See you in the next episode. Bye.